Sunshine, thank you for a $5 super chat. I just started using Gyroflow and my flippy floppies and hard banking look jello-y or wavy. Can you look at the footage in Discord? I can, but I don't know how much I'm going to be able to help you, Sunshine. If you have jello or wavy, I'm looking in the Discord, but I don't see it. There it is. If you have wavy, that could mean that your gyro data is not synced correctly. I'm looking for a flippy flop. Looks okay here. Where's the jello? Was that it? Little, kind of almost looked like a vibration. Where's the flippy flops? Is this a flippy flop? Where's it? Oh. Guessing these are the flippy flops. I'm not sure I'm seeing it. I don't see. It's a bright sunny day, so motion blur shouldn't be the problem. Yeah, you got like no motion blur. It zooms in and out really quick. Oh, that's different. No, that's the zoom factor. Okay, so what you've got is in... can I start Gyroflow? Gyroflow. The zooming is just part of how Gyroflow works. Yes, that's exactly right. What happens is... let's see. Do I even have a video file I can use? I'm not sure that I do. No, I don't have a video file that I can use. What if I go to my archive drive? Oh, hang on. The Moz 27? No. Oh, Cinelog 3.5 house fly through. That'll do. DJI GoPro stabilize. There we go. So if we go here and we load this in, what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to toggle the stabilization overview. And that is going to show, this is the viewport that will be rendered out, right? So how does the stabilization work? The stabilization works by first cropping in and then moving the viewport to keep the image stable. But the more you stabilize, the more the viewport has to crop in. So you see that if I decrease the smoothness, do you see that it's zoomed out now? And then if I play forward, do you see the picture moving? That's the stabilization at work, right? Okay? And the faster I'm moving, the more it has to zoom in because it has to be more aggressive with the stabilization. So what you can do is you can change the zooming speed, or you can decrease the amount of smoothness. Those are your only two options as far as I know. By decreasing the smoothness, overall it will zoom out. Okay? But you'll get less smoothing. By changing the zooming speed, it will cause it to zoom in and out slower so that you don't suddenly whoop, see it zoom in rapidly during a move. Instead, it will slowly begin to zoom in leading up to the move and zoom out leading out of the move. And then what you can do is you can click this button, toggle stabilization overview right here, and then you can see not this, but you can see this, so you can get an idea of how much it's zooming in and out, right? And you can play with it. The other thing you can do is you can play with the FOV, right? But the thing is, if you force the FOV out too far, do you see that you get these spots here? These are spots where it's zoomed out so far that this black border is going to be in the shot, and you don't want that. So generally, you should leave the FOV at 1.0 and then adjust the smoothness to adjust how zoomed in you want it to be.
Chat really wants you to know that there's a static zoom as well.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I'm aware of that, but I don't like to use the static zoom at least not for freestyle content, because like if we, I wish there was a way we could see the zoom level in the graph. I don't know. For all I know, you can. But like, the problem is that if I choose the static zoom, then it has to be the most zoomed in it will ever be for the whole shot. And usually that's way too zoomed in. It's like super zoomed in. And it's like, why would you do that? Why? I mean, if you have a relatively consistent shot with no like sudden fast moves, then you could set a static zoom and then you won't have any zooming. Great, perfect, wonderful. But like for freestyle, there's always going to be those flippy flops, and then you're flying smoothly, and you really don't want to use a static zoom, in my opinion.
Is there any way to keyframe zooms on this?
Absolutely, yes.
So could you keyframe statics to different parts and make the zooming smoother through that, or will it not let you do that?
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
99%
so
sure.
If you really wanted to manually dial it in, you could set through the flight. You could set these different static sets for different movements or shots, and only have movement where you only really needed it, right?
You could.
Okay.
I feel like that would be a giant pain in the ass, but you can. Like where's the keyframing? Where's the keyframing, guys? Can I right-click Add Keyframe? Where's the keyframing? I've forgotten how to use. Forgotten now the chat. 5 seconds from now, the chat's going to tell me where the keyframing is. I've forgotten how to use Gyroflow since I made this video. You 100% can keyframe it though. Where the frick is the keyframing? Really, no, none of it. Okay, we're right here. Nope. Control click. You totally can keyframe the zoom, which means that you can get the zoom on the graph too. Oh well. This isn't a Gyroflow tutorial. My recommendation is, unless this is an extremely important piece of work where you absolutely must like manually keyframe the whole thing, my recommendation is play with the, not the FOV, leave the FOV at 1.0, play with the smoothness to get the FOV where you want it, and then play with the zoom speed. Oh, dynamic zooming. Play with the zoom speed. Like some people feel like a 4 or 5 second zoom speed is better because it won't just suddenly zoop in like that. I don't know.
And then I think if you set that longer zoom speed, it knows that ahead of time, right, when it's mapping it out. So it doesn't like get itself out of the way or whatever, right? It'll just maybe stay zoomed in more than it would to save it from going out. Yeah.
What you could do with keyframes is you could time the zooms. So like if you know that you're going to do some kind of a snap roll or something, you could manually choose the best place to zoom in where it doesn't like it's the least disrupting, right? But it's just so much work to keyframe a whole video that it's hard to believe that it would be worth it for most people.
And then one other thing I'd like to comment, a lot of the chat was mentioning that they feel like stabilization shouldn't be a thing, or a lot of people should learn to fly without stabilization or use as little stabilization as possible and only adjust smoothness, things like that. Do you have any input on that?
I do. So the first thing I want to say is that I am firmly opposed to the idea that there's like a right and a wrong way to do like freestyle, etc. I personally prefer freestyle without a lot of stabilization. Some people like acoustic guitars, some people like electric guitars, right? That's just two different preferences for what kind of music you like to hear. I look at pilots who use stabilization, like Bubby FPV and Drew, both use stabilization pretty heavily in their freestyle. No one could say that they are not amazing pilots. They just like the style and the look of a stabilized video. For me, I feel like stabilization shaves all the edges off and makes the freestyle kind of muffled, if you will. I'm using audio analogies. And like if you watch somebody who flies without stabilization, there will be sharp flicks. Like think about Spang. You can't do Spang with stabilization in your GoPro. Spang is a sharp style, and it would just ruin it and make it all soft. And so I like to see the sharpness mixed in with the smoothness. There is a quality of smoothness that you just can't get without stabilization, though. Most people can't anyway, and you know, some people like the way that looks. I will say that for me, when I approach stabilization, and usually if I do freestyle, I don't stabilize it at all. But if I do decide to use stabilization, like for example, it can save you from a dinged up prop or something, then I like to have like just a very, very little, just a little bit of salt in your soup, you know, and not a lot. So, yeah. The great thing about Gyroflow is you can just go back and change the settings and you can re-render it and see if it looks any better.